Welcome to Behind the Badge with your hosts,
Lieutenant Ryan Williams
and Officer Cammie Vandermolen.
Your source for all things Fondy Police.
KFIZ today on a Friday. That means Behind the Badge, your weekly visit with the Fond du Lac Police Department. Officer Cammie Vandermolen is in studio, and I had to do a double check on my water here. I just had to make sure that there wasn't something spiked in there, because I'm seeing double this morning.
That's right.
You got your twin sister in studio.
Yeah, I brought my identical twin sister. She is Detective Mickie Fink with the Fond du Lac County Sheriff's Office, and we've talked about being identical twins in law enforcement before, but we're coming up on her retirement. It's right around the corner, and so I wanted to bring her on one more time to talk about, well, all of the amazing things that she's done in her career, and then, you know, the whole twin thing. So.
Absolutely. So welcome back. You've done radio before? Yes,
I have a couple times. Yep.
Okay. And maybe in retirement you'll do like a stunt double. You're going to try to trick me maybe, and you'll show up instead of Cammie. And is Sean, is he able to tell the difference between the sisters?
I'll send her in. Yes, undercover.
No, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that at all. So your retirement is coming up, so congratulations on that. And yeah, walk us through your career. So at what point in life did you decide to get into law enforcement, and did your sister follow in your footsteps, or did you guys do it the same, or how did that all work out?
So I knew I wanted to be a police officer pretty early on. I would say 12, 13 years old, 14 maybe at the oldest. I knew that was something that I wanted to do.
And why was that?
We had a neighbor that we would spend our summers with our dad out in Oregon, and he had a neighbor that lived behind the house, and in his home. His house was like through the yard and through the woods, and then his residence, and we would walk back there and hang out with them. He was a medically retired Multnomah County Sheriff's deputy. He had actually been shot in the line of duty. He was paralyzed from the waist down. And we would spend a lot of our summers hanging out with him, and he would tell us stories about his cop days, and it just intrigued me, and I knew from then that was something that I really wanted to do. You know, back when we graduated high school in '87, women in law enforcement, it wasn't that common. I mean, they certainly were in law enforcement, but it wasn't that common, and as it is today. And I think just the norms at that time and kind of the thoughts of adults in your life at that time, you kind of get influenced to do other things that are more maybe traditional in traditional roles. And I didn't follow my dream when I was in college the first time around, and then later on in life, when I was about 29, 30 years old, I started to go back to school for criminal justice. I knew that's what I wanted to do, and I thought, this is the time that if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it now. And so I started going back to school, got my degree in, actually I take that back, I got enough credits to apply to law enforcement. I started applying. I got hired by North Fond du Lac Police Department. They sponsored me through the academy, and I think I got hired just before my 35th birthday, so I was pretty much an old person at that point for law enforcement standards. And then went to the academy, and then as I was an officer, and I became a school resource officer a couple years into it, maybe about 4 years into it, and then I was a school resource officer for about 4 years. And then I became a patrol sergeant, and then I finished up my degree at Marion. So, and then eventually in 19, the sheriff's office started doing lateral transfers, and I decided, you know what, I want to go to the sheriff's office. North Fond du Lac has been very good to me, and I learned a lot, but I want to kind of expand my horizons before I go out. Yeah.
Take that next step up.
Yep.
When you think about your time in North Fond du Lac, any memories that stick out?
You know, it's a smaller community, and certainly not a high level of crime, but what really I appreciated and I learned in North Fond du Lac is we didn't really have an investigator out there, and so you you were the investigator, so it wasn't, you didn't take the initial report and then anything that was a little bit more complex or needed some specialized training or geographically you couldn't follow up on, you did it, and so I learned a lot out there, and I really look back at my time fondly for that reason.
And what about your time here, the last few years with the sheriff's office?
Yeah, so it's been almost 5 years. I think people thought I was crazy making a leap at almost 50 years old, and the possibility of going to nights and, I can't see at night.
Changing your lifestyle, right?
Right, yeah.
We can't see in the day,
Right? Let alone at night. So my husband always jokes, he said that when I was in the field training process at the sheriff's office, he always said that the people, my coworkers, are gonna think that they have a drunk driver because they're gonna see somebody on radar going 40. And they're gonna go, that's just Mickie. So, no, it's been, an opportunity at the sheriff's office to get into the bureau came up a lot faster than I thought it was going to. I was there for 4 months when the opening happened in the bureau, and I thought, there's no way, but I have to take that chance, and I ended up getting it, and it's just been an unbelievable. It's been a short ride, but it's been a fantastic ride.
I believe it. And so, Cammie,
Yes.
At what point in your life did you know that you wanted to get into law enforcement, and then when did you eventually get into it, so that we can compare that with Mickie?
So I had no desire to go into law enforcement at all. It was this one's arm twisting,
Okay.
and convincing me to follow her. So she started late in life as far as standards, as far as when people usually start in law enforcement as a career. I was even older. What were you, about 35, you said?
Not quite
Yeah.
35, yeah.
And I was 38.
Okay.
So, so I've got a few more years. I'll be following her up in retirement. But she convinced me. I didn't think that that was something that I would ever be interested in doing. And she kind of kept nudging me and pushing me. And I got hired on with the city. I thought, all right, I'll give it a try. And back then, it was a very different sort of hiring situation. We had tons and tons and tons of applicants. We had, it was like there was one spot and you'd have 200 people filling out an application for that one spot. And so I actually never thought that they would hire me. And they did. And now that I've been on hiring boards and hiring panels and part of the recruitment process and all of that, I understand why. What they saw in me was
Field training.
Yes, they saw that I had that life experience actually that really does help you when you're out there dealing with members of our community. I had the ability to talk to people and develop that rapport, and they knew that the other things they could teach me, all the other stuff. So I went off to academy, and I fell in love with it right away. So it's I have her to thank for that. But yeah, she's been an inspiration and a role model. I mean, even when we were little, Mickie was always the one to be like, yep, no fear, gonna go do it. And I was always the worrier, but what about this? But what about that? And, she always kind of.
I was confident that I knew her personality, I knew her abilities, and I thought she would excel in this. If we can just get her past the,
Just taking that leap, and doing it.
It is a leap of faith.
Yeah, especially at 38.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So the way you just described that, even though you guys are identical twins, almost kind of seems like Mickie maybe in some ways has been like an older sister to you. Would you?
So I'm the older twin, and I always reminded her of that until we got to be middle-aged, and then she started reminding me that I was the older twin.
Well, I noticed she didn't rub it in my face that she was 2 minutes older. I thought, that's changed. I wonder why. Because she doesn't want to be older.
So I think that it goes back and forth. I think when we were little, I was very nurturing. We also struggled with some S's when we were little, and actually, so Mickey's real name is Michelle. My real name is Camille. So,
Okay.
but when we were born, she was actually Shelley. and we couldn't say our S's. So somewhere around, 3 maybe? Yeah. My dad sat down with her and went through all the nicknames for Michelle, and when he said Mickie, she was like, Mickie, and she's such
So-
a Mickie.
At 3, why wouldn't I?
Right?
Yeah. And it's so fitting. I can't even imagine her with anything but a Mickie. And, but I used to do all the talking for us because she couldn't say Shelley. And
Wow.
so they'd say, what's your name? And I would say Cammie, and she'd go, me too. That's what she would respond to me too. So I used to do the talking for us when we were little until a certain point. But, and I think just naturally too, Mickey's a little more quiet than I am, and she's a little more, not as quite as sort of, I guess.
Gregarious and a little bit more serious. A little bit more serious.
So, Mickie, was it extra special in your career to have your sister also
Oh,
be
yeah.
in law enforcement?
Yeah, very proud of her, and she excelled at the Fond du Lac Police Department. You know, she went into the schools and she was rocking it, and then she got promoted and she was the first female detective at the police department, and so I was immensely proud of her and her accomplishments.
Yeah, we've gotten the chance to work together a few times, and that's always a highlight.
Yeah.
Even going back to when we were both on patrol in North Fond du Lac, we
had a couple
opportunities, and then once
memorable calls together.
and then once she got into the bureau at the SO and I was in the bureau at the PD, we had an opportunity to work several cases together as well, which was really cool.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, and you know, I think too, just having, I mean, Mickey's husband is retired law enforcement, my husband is not in law enforcement, but I think having that, we're super close, just that twin relationship, and we kind of, when we hear about twins who aren't close or they don't like their twin,
I understand.
we don't get it. We're
Yeah.
like, because we literally feel like we are sort of the other, like, half.
Sure.
You
yeah.
know, like we're a complete unit almost.
Yeah.
And I think when you are in this career, having just another sibling or a person, a close friend or whatever that you can talk to, because a lot of times people just don't understand unless they do it, do the job. And then on top of it, having your identical twin has been really a blessing. So it's just been great. And I don't know what I'm gonna do now that she's not gonna be. It's gonna be weird. She's gonna have to make a trip in and come see me.
So yeah, what do you got planned in retirement?
So everybody asks me that, and they're like, "You got big plans?" And I'm like, "No."
Just enjoying life, right?
I just want to I just want to decompress, and I feel like that's what I need to do. I need to take a month, take 2 months, and just decompress. Feel like I'm back to being just citizen.
Right, yeah, civilian.
Yeah.
Mickie she's an amazing baker. She is unbelievably at baking. And I hope that she does a lot more of that while she's retired. And that she brings those treats in for me.
Yeah, right.
Because a lot of times the treats get into the SO and they don't make it over to the PD to her sister. And I'm like, really? No, and she loves animals, so they have 2 dogs and a cat, and they have some property, so I know she likes being out there. She's got a wildflower patch and a garden and all that. And the other thing that she does, has been passionate about for years is she raises monarch butterflies.
Oh, wow.
So she's got a lot of milkweed planted on her property, and she actually will collect all the eggs, and she has enclosures and raise them, because what's the stats on them not making it in the wild?
It's only like 5% of monarchs that make
That's
it in.
it.
Yeah, and
Wow.
their population's on the decline. I think they may have even been put on the endangered list, and we need those pollinators. So, that was something that I kind of got hooked on as a kid, and it stuck with me.
Yeah.
My record is 464 one year.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
incredible.
And we both did that as little girls. I think that's why our parents were, are very encouraging as far as, anything with nature and, that type of thing. So we had raised monarchs occasionally, and then I passed that on to my girls, and then Mickie has just taken it to a whole new level. I mean, I still do it too, but I don't have the acreage with the milkweed, so it makes it a little bit harder. I have one enclosure, and I think I've done about 40 or 50 a year, but that's it. I haven't done the hundreds that Mickie has, but it's pretty cool. It's an amazing thing. Yeah. So she's got
I've
lots
got
of things.
18 in chrysalis right now. So.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you get plenty of things to keep you busy. in
And I get
retirement.
really dorkish because I actually will gender them when they release. I check and I keep track my
Yeah,
stats.
why
I'd be
not?
like how many
Go all
females,
in.
how many males. It's like
She
you're a
keeps the
nerd.
stats, yeah, every year, but, I was gonna ask her, and we haven't really,
Yeah, go ahead.
we've talked about, a little bit about her upcoming retirement, but I was gonna ask her what she's gonna miss about it,
So I'm not gonna miss the grind, and I don't think I have to explain what that is, but the report writing and the everyday, the negative stuff that's with the job.
Sure.
I'm gonna miss the people that I work with. I've made some pretty close friends, and I'm gonna miss, obviously, the fun stuff and the cool stuff that we do. Yeah. I'm also gonna kind of miss being in the know, if that makes any
Sure,
sense.
absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I have some friends and I have my sister there to, hey, what happened with that,
You can still find out. right?
Cops
Yeah,
are curious. We're curious by nature, and
Absolutely.
that drives us, and especially in a detective role, I think that,
you really need to have that curiosity bug, yeah.
yeah,
I just noticed though from leaving the bureau and taking on my new sort of administrative role, I am so not in the know. And that's okay, I'm sleeping better.
right? Yeah, I'm not gonna miss the call outs
I
in the
bet.
middle of the night. I'm not
No.
gonna miss that.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
What about thank yous?
Who do I want to thank?
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to thank, I've always been appreciative of North Fond du Lac because they really gave me my start. And they certainly sent me to some training that was absolutely crucial in getting where I am now. I had ICAC training, I had undercover chat training, I had child abuse training, and I investigated all kinds of sensitive crimes against children. And I know that played a huge part in getting the detective spot at the sheriff's office. I also want to thank Sheriff Ryan Walshman. He knew when I came there at almost 50. It was like a month before my 50th birthday. He knew that I wasn't a long term. He knew I wasn't going to be there for 10, 15 years. But he also knew that I was pretty much plug and play, and that he would take 5 years of good service from somebody of a reliable than an unknown candidate, So he took the chance, boy, all of my coworkers that I work with now and my current supervisor, my past supervisor, he's now a captain of ops, Chris Randall.
Chris and I went to academy together.
Yeah, I actually took some when I went back to school as a 30-year-old. He actually was a normal aged college student in one of my classes.
Oh, wow.
And he remembers me in those
Oh, I'm
classes.
sure.
I know that he was a big cheerleader for putting me in the bureau, and so I want to thank him for that and having the faith in me to do that. And my current supervisor, Lieutenant Alex Boehm, he's been fantastic. He's a young man. He is going to do phenomenal things. Yeah.
He was on here a couple months ago. I really enjoyed meeting him.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. He's bright.
Yeah, he
Very
is.
bright.
That's a great guy.
So.
Wonderful. Wow.
Oh, you know what I want to thank? Forgot. My husband.
It's kind of important, right?
Sorry.
I was waiting
So,
for that one. Okay, I didn't want to
My
have to
husband.
say it for you, but
My husband was so incredibly supportive when I said I want to go to the sheriff's office, and he knew for years I wanted to go to the sheriff's office, and he encouraged me to stay where I was. He said, "Be patient. It's going to happen. Whatever is going to happen, it's going to just be patient." And when they started doing laterals, and I came to him and I said, "I really want to do this." We had Cammie and her husband come over, and we kind of all put out the pros and the cons, and he, at the end of it, he basically said, "I will support you in whatever you want to do. And if you're gonna be on nights and we need to black out the windows and soundproof the downstairs, and I need to take the dogs or do whatever," he was fully 100% on board. And he has been through this entire ride, you know, I mean, he is just a great human being.
Awesome.
Mhm.
We thank him as well. And thank you again for your wonderful service, and wish you all the best
Thank
in
you, I appreciate
retirement.
that.
And we like baked goods here too, so
Okay.
if you're ever bored, you know, just stop on by 307 North Main Street.
Okay. They're wonderful. She's very talented.
We'd love to do that. And anything you'd like to say to your sister as she heads off into retirement?
Just that I'm very proud of her. I love her. Very much.
Oh, there we go.
See?
Wonderful. We're all in tears now. Congratulations again.
Thank you.
This is KFIZ Today.